Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of She-Hulk Attorney at Law, The People vs. Emil Blonsky. And this was a strange one. I didn't think it was as bad as the last one, but it didn't get as good as like the first episode. Like, it still had a lot of problems for what kind of occurs. Somehow, simultaneously, the episode's length of being like 30 minutes really fucks with it, of them packing too much into an episode and still somehow not having enough time to like do certain things and just throw random shit in there that's kind of filler. When you are doing an episode, you need to understand your time framing and how much you can put in and how to effectively utilize that. And She-Hulk hasn't really done that, save for like the first episode to me. Granted, there are some things that you could be like, yeah, you could pretty much cut or whatnot, but overall, it at least worked within the framework of what it was doing. This just seems to be like, alright, why is this here? And the thing is, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't really view this as a really good lawyer show, because we just get random shit. And it's like the barest pretense of like legal proceedings and shit. It's like, if you bill it as like a lawyer comedy show, I'm going to view that and kind of be like, oh, okay, now it doesn't have to be, but like something like Scrubs. That was a comedy show set in a hospital, and they did hospital things. Granted, they went nuts as fucking shit with it in certain instances and respects, but it at least had a suspension of disbelief and like, okay, doctors would do something similar to this in this situation, even if it's just kind of not exactly how it would go, because they have to follow certain rules of the world that they've constructed. This, I'm just like, I don't even know anymore. It's like, do whatever, because the only reason that this is kind of like better is like, we have to accept that She-Hulk would represent Emil Blonsky, the Abomination, and what's kind of going on. So we just get some random shit of being like people doing stupid media shit to like, one, her name, and is she fucking pregnant with the Abomination's kid, and all that kind of stuff. And I get it to a certain degree, because it's almost self-inserting people's reactions to what the show is, but yet again, when you do that sort of thing, you have to be on point with it, and it has to have a purpose. Otherwise, it's just there, and it's just like, okay, it's pretty much like going to be a dated reference. Like, if you try and if I made a meme right now about any fucking thing, like chocolate cake or something like that, and immediately, like, some dude fucking puts it into a show that they're just making, it's gonna date the fucking shit out of it. And the thing is, like, you have to be careful with that stuff, because it either has to work on a thing of working within the story to a point where it doesn't break the story, and even to a point when you go in later, it's like, oh, okay, but it just really didn't accomplish much, because it's just all the fervor. Her legal aid's like, hey, you're going to have to do an interview at some point to kind of, like, deal with this stuff. And I'm like, sure? Maybe? And then she does it at the end, and they're pretty much just like, hey, why do you call yourself She-Hulk? I don't! Everybody else did that for me! And I only can like that they go that route, because now she was fucking like giving Bruce a hard time for it, and like 2 seconds she was outside doing her shit as She-Hulk, and it's like, yeah, it's stupid shit. It's like, yeah, I get it. And then they were pretty much gonna hit her for like, hey, what are her exercise and beauty tips? It's like, okay. So she pretty much goes in to like set up her case with Emil. Everybody's pretty much like, yeah, I don't know why we would parole you. You fucking escaped from prison. It's like, yep, that's a valid hit. However, she talks with Emil about it, and evidently he was taken out against his will. like Wong needed him for something, and we never get that something. She also brings up this fourth wall breaker, being like, yeah, this isn't just a cameo show, even though we had Bruce, we have Emil, we have Wong, and then we get Megan Thee Stallion in this, which, ironically enough, completely and utterly disproves her point. She's like, we know whose show this is, and it's like, yeah, you just keep putting people in here. Now, granted, Bruce's cameo accomplished something and had narrative implications that were needed. You need Banner for Jen to become She-Hulk. Unless you do some other kind of like weird reworking of her origins with some other person's Hulk blood or whatnot. They do also have a backed reference of like asking if there was a mafia hit on her ass. And Emil Blonsky is interesting to tie in with the Hulk kind of narrative and everything like that, and to actually just bring a kind of villain back. Granted, my whole thing that like his pen pals were like the Thunderbolts or whatnot, that was completely wrong. I was wrong on that. They essentially were setting him up as like that culty kind of joke where like all these prison ladies are like, yeah, we love you, Emil. It's like, all right, I didn't think they'd go that route, but they fucking did. And that he would do a yoga meditative retreat. Now, granted, that could be kind of a nut, like a like a red herring kind of like thing to like get you off the track of like him being in the Thunderbolts, because we have confirmation that he's in the lineup, but we'll kind of see how that goes. Obfuscation kind of thing. They're like, oh yeah, this is what we're really doing. But the main bulk of the episode deals with this, where she pretty much does get in contact with Wong. He's like, yeah, it was important, and then he went back of his own free will. Okay, can you come in and do that? And then we pretty much get through with the parole board doing their kind of thing. Emil does, of course, transform at one point, because one dude's like, yeah, I mean, we could do this, but what's to stop him from being a rampaging abomination? And he's got it under control. And she's telling him not to do it. And I get that to a certain extent. You don't just like pop it out and be like, hey, fucking abomination dong, but it is an important kind of thing to showcase to them that he has his transformations under control, like Jen and like Banner. So yes, that's an important bit. And then we get that he like did stuff with the library. He's been good with like the rest of the other inmates and everything like that. Wong's completely and utterly late, comes and is like, yeah, I needed his help or something, and he went back. And people are like, hey, you facilitated a prison break. That's a crime. He's like, whatever, dude. And then just fucking like teleports out. It's like, oh, all right. Like, I understand that we had a cameo that kind of fucks with certain shit of Abomination and Wong doing like a fucking underground ring fight in Shang-Chi, but this was just the weirdest kind of way to do it. It's like, we need that, but whatever. And of course, they're bringing up how to make sure he doesn't become the Abomination, so she pretty much is able... How did she get an inhibitor specifically for Blonsky if Hulk was off-world? Well, they release him on parole as long as he never turns into the Abomination again and wears an inhibitor, and if he ever has an incident, he goes right back to prison. I don't know how he would get the inhibitor. Fuck balls Batman. But that's all resolved. The other kind of subplot is that the Dick Dennis dude, who's just a complete delusional asshole, is retaining Jen's law firm because he got scammed out of like $175,000 because he thought he was dating Megan Thee Stallion, but it was actually a shape-shifting light elf. And she kind of fucks around with certain shit, but this was just like, all right, I understand this is a lawyer thing, but this is just fucking eating up shit. And we see that this one dude's trying to like deal with this guy. Is like, this dude is dumb as fucking shit and so delusional he thought he was active, because pretty much all the light elf really had to do was be like, no reasonable person would think that they were dating Megan Thee Stallion. And Megan Thee Stallion pops up like, yeah, hey, whatever. And we see also the light elf impersonate the judge, and that's pretty much what they get her on. They get Jen to testify that Dennis is a delusional dickweed, and yeah, there are people that fucking high up on their own ass. It's like, a sedan? $175,000? I'm like, you dumb fuck. It's just like, alright. And they, of course, award him damages and then the Light Elf is put in jail for 60 days for impersonating the judge. They tried to do diplomatic immunity and tried to use a Thor speech to, like, do shit and be like, nah, you fucked up. You found out. And it's just like, alright. And the only bit was just like, hey, we're connecting the A and B story. It's like, yeah, but I mean, you got a 30-minute show that you have to really work to make sure that shit runs tight. What we do in the shadows is able to do that on most occasions, and even then, it sometimes gets nutty. And it's like, I would rather have this story completely done or this story completely done. And then for some reason they decide to throw in the Wrecking Crew, and I was just like dumbfounded seeing this. They were evidently tasked with getting her blood, and she's like, what, did you get like shit from an Asgardian construction worker? And evidently they did. It was just the oddest way to see the Wrecking Crew used. They've evidently, like, it looked so chintzy and just wrong. And granted, they are the weirdest of fucking things to even attempt to try to adapt. Like, Batroc the Leaper. I didn't think that he would ever work into the MCU because of just what weirdness would go with him. But they actually were able to make him fit in the world and have him introduced in Captain America Winter Soldier and keep using him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But here, they try and go after her, and at first I'm like, what the fuck? And she just transforms into She-Hulk and just like, it's not that big of a fight scene because it's very effects intensive, and I understand that you've only got so much money, and it's just like, effectively utilize it. This wasn't a really good action scene. It's really dark. I mean, there's things that they got, like the crowbar, the ball and chain and everything like that are kind of glowing and like Asgardian-like, and they did the best. Like, I'm not gonna say that the effects people did a shitty job. They did the best at what they could do. It's just like, alright, they only gave you enough time to do this, then why the fuck did you do it? If you can't do something to a good standard that you're trying to set, don't fucking do it. I can make a certain amount of food, but I am not going to be able to make a gourmet filet mignon for somebody and have that taste right because I have not cooked that effectively. And if somebody pretty much tells me you need to do this and do it for like $7.50, like $7.50 an hour, you are gonna get shit. And that's on you for being like, I'm gonna do this awesome fucking thing, but I'm gonna give you the, not even in most cases, the bare minimum time, effort, and resources to be able to like get to that thing. So I'm just like, now granted, the Wrecking Crew is not like a make or break kind of thing. It's just like, alright, these are kind of weird ass motherfuckers to begin with. Alright. But she pretty much like knocks them out. Well, not knocks them out, but like kicks their asses. They like escape. And he's like, did you get it? It's like, no, I couldn't get it with their green skin. It's like, yeah, you don't just fucking, like, if your objective is to get someone's blood, going out in a dark alley with fucking glowing weapons being like, woo, that's not how you do it. Now, granted, the Wrecking Crew is normally pretty much stupid in the comics, but it's just like, alright. So she had handled that, and that's pretty much where that ends. Of course, she does the interview kind of thing. Blonsky gets out with his weird pen pal, fuckity-doo-dah, fuckity-day people. And I'm just like, alright, where the fuck is this gonna be going? And, it ends off with, like, Megan Thee Stallion being, like, retaining the services of Jen as her lawyer, and them twerking together, and then Jen saying that she would kill for, Megan, and that Megan's like, dial it back. That was the funniest bit of it. The thing is, I don't mind her cameo, but nothing much was really done with it. Like, with a cameo, you should do something to accomplish and to, like, justify the cameo. You know what I mean? Like, give her a character or something like that. What we do in the shadows, sorry to keep bringing that up, got Mark Hamill as this vampire that was trying to get money from Laszlo that was owed to him. And that was fucking great. You got this trial that had all these people that had played vampires and their cameos detailing and doing this crazy ass shit. Here we just, like, Blonsky's at least works. Wong's kind of shaky at this point and just seems to be like, hey, here's another person that we could have gotten and just throwing in there. It's like, alright, but I need some explanation at some point of why he fucking got Blonsky. Yeah, I kind of think he almost did it for money that he needed, so they just fucking got like a deal or whatnot, and they'd just be like, alright, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna take this fall, that kind of shit. But like the Megan one, it's just like, oh, okay, she's a really good artist, she's kind of hot now, let's get her in this shit. It's like, it like immediately, Jen talking about like the cameo bit, I understand, but the thing is, you completely and utterly undermine that by essentially doing what people would be calling it out for, just using cameos for the fucking sake of it. So I'm like, alright, I just wanted something more done with it. It's like, alright, because they did a little bit of the comedy of like, I kill for you. It's like, whoa, dial it back. That was the funniest kind of bit for it. Otherwise, I'm just like, okay, she's there. Can you do something more with her? Give her a character. Give her, like, even if they are just themselves, they can act as some kind of strange-ass version of themselves, of either amplified to a certain degree or just, like, chill as fucking shit. Kind of like Will Wheaton is an unrepentant asshole in, like, Big Bang Theory, or James Earl Jones in Big Bang Theory just being fucking wild-ass crazy as shit. You know, like, do weird shit with that. Like, justify it. Do some weird story shit with it. Or just, like, a crazy-ass joke. Like, build that escalation and bam! If that is what they were going for here, that didn't work for me. If it worked for you, cool. You know what I mean? But I overall was just confused with this and just, like, I don't think that there's a clear goal here, and they're just gonna throw shit until it sticks. Because the first episode felt like, okay, here's this clear shit that we've got. We've set her up. Yeah, alright, cool. And then they're like, yeah, we're gonna try and do this whole lawyering thing. And it just doesn't seem to work. At least for me. So, we'll kind of have to see how the rest of the episodes pan out. There are 9 episodes. This is the 3rd one. Who knows? So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also, like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.